We don't have any, so we'll move on to our planning agenda. Resolution 1023, the designation of critical urban freight corridor, CUFC, and staff will present on the purpose of the critical urban freight corridor, as well as the resolution to adopt Willow Creek Road, Crispin Road, from US 20 to the Indiana Toll Road entrance ramp to be submitted as a CUFC.
All right, good morning, everybody. Before we get to the actual resolution, I'd like to give a little presentation so we can learn a little bit more about the critical urban freight corridors, because this is something new that NERC has not gotten into before. So, the critical urban and rural freight corridors are important freight corridors that provide critical connectivity to the National Highway Freight Network. The designation of the critical rural freight corridors and the critical urban freight corridors will increase the state's National Highway Freight Network, allowing for potential expanded use of the National Highway Freight Program formula funds and Fast Lane Grant Program funds for eligible projects that support the nation's goal. So the National Highway Freight Network is made up of the primary highway freight system, the other portions of that are not on the, or of the interstate system, and then our critical rural freight corridors and our critical urban freight corridors. So the designation requirements for the critical rural or urban freight corridors connects intermodal facility to the primary highway freight system, the interstate system, or an intermodal facility. It is located within a corridor of a route on the primary highway freight system and provides an alternative highway option important to good movement. Serves as a major freight generator, logistics generator, or manufacturing and warehouse industrial land, or is important for the movement of freight within the region as determined by the MPO or the state. So as I'm going through these requirements, you keep in mind that you only need to meet one of the requirements in order for a segment to be eligible. As far as the critical rural freight corridors go, it could be a rural principal arterial roadway that has a minimum of 25% of the annual average daily traffic of the road measured in passenger vehicle equivalent units from trucks, provides access to energy exploration, development, installation, or production areas, connects the primary highway freight system or the interstate to facilities that handle more than 50,000 20-foot equivalent units per year or 500,000 tons per year of bulk commodities, provides access to a grain elevator, an agricultural facility, a mining facility, a forestry facility, or an intermodal facility, connects to an international port of entry, provides access to significant air, rail, water, or other freight facilities in the state, or if it is determined by the state to be vital, improving the efficient movement of freight importance to the economy of the state. The languages for the urban freight corridors, it's the MPO that determines these in consultation with the state. When your MPO has a population of 500,000 or more, so that would be us. And for the rural freight corridors, the language is the state determines in consultation with the MPO. So a little bit about the mileage that we have allotted. The state of Indiana is given 97.13 miles for urban freight corridors and 194.25 for rural freight corridors. When it comes to designating these segments, there's no deadline for designating and certifying the rural freight corridors and the urban freight corridors. It may be a full or partial designation of the mileage, and the designations can occur separately. And additionally, on top of that, we can remove or change any of our designated corridors as we see needed. So I did a little analysis on the breakdown of the mileage, because we're only given the amount of mileage the state has, so we want to kind of look to take our fair share of the mileage. I'll just go over our MPO's mileage. We go by the centerline mileage for the mileage that's allotted to us. So we have roughly 4,152 miles, and then the percentage of the mileage that makes up between all the MPOs in the state is 16.87%, and that of the 97.13 allotted to us would be roughly 16.38 miles. Same thing for the rural corridors, except we have that state number of 194, and then we have about 34.73 for the rural corridors. And then I'll get on to the actual resolution itself. This is just the very initial stage that would potentially allow us to have the funding if we got this designated. For today's resolution, it is Willow Creek Chrisman Road, and that would be going from Highway 20 to the entrance ramp at I-90. This is a key example of where you would use this. It connects between 90 and 94. It also goes from 90 up to intermodal facilities as well as the port. So if there's not any other questions, the action today would be to vote to recommend Resolution 1923, the resolution of Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission designating Willow Creek Road, Chrisman Road as a critical urban freight corridor from US Highway 20 to the entrance ramp of the Indiana Toll Road.
Is there any other discussion out there?
When you refer to the state, you mean the Department of Transportation, or are there any other agencies within the state government that would part decide what goes on?
So it would be the state, yeah, but then, so,
DOT.
yeah, but our application would go to FHWA.
Bear in mind, on the mileage 16.3 is a lot for Northwest Indiana.
Yeah.
So this is the first designation of what potentially could be a significant amount of new designations in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so would, say, example, the roadway into the ports of Indiana, would that eventually be considered as a, critical urban freight corridor because it's a intermodal facility or port facility?
Yeah, it could. So we'll have that. This is just our very first step, because this one seems to be a priority in the region, and then we can kind of make those decisions as it comes.
I think what we have to do is put some projects together and do evaluation for staff on the scene of it.
Yeah, we're forming our task force right now to get started on that.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? So moved. Now the next discussion will be on Next Level Trails presentation, round two.
Round two, yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. We have another round of Next Level Trails. I want to take the opportunity to brief you all on this. I know I did an update on this program a few months ago before this committee, as well as the Ped Pedal Paddle Group. But they just announced it for the next go-around, and I just want to get you up to speed on what this all involves and how you can take part in this program. As a background, there were $90 million of state money allocated for this out of the Next Level Roads program, which is kind of next level altogether, and that was about $1 billion, and $90 million were allocated for trail development. It's an 80-20 matching program with an asterisk, and I'll get to that momentarily. It's administered by the Department of Natural Resources. All phases are eligible for development from PE right-of-way and construction. Now, eligible entities, which are interesting here, not only the municipalities, those that are usually eligible for our federal money, but because this is state money, the rules are less stringent, and nonprofits, 501c3s are actually available or eligible for this funding as well. Now, the second cycle has been announced. It will commence on October 1st, and the deadline will be on November 1st. And they are putting $25 million from that $90 million on the table for this next round. And future cycles will be announced in 2020 to complete the distribution. And another issue which is beneficial regarding state money over federal money is that the local match can be soft in this case, which includes in-kind, donations, labor, and so on and so forth. And so if there is a particular project out there that has some trouble with, well, that trouble, but has some right-of-way issues and a particular landowner is willing to donate, well, that value of the land can be used for the match for the project. Very helpful for many different projects around the state. As for the funding itself, it'll be divided into two pots. We have a regionally significant pot where the ask is a $5 million max and a $250,000 minimum request. And then these projects that are there to further develop the completion of the state visionary trail system, and I'll get to that momentarily, in Indiana. These are projects that will connect multiple cities, towns, and counties. And then there are the locally significant funds. This is a $2 million max, $200,000 minimum request. And these are ones that are, again, local in nature, connecting destinations within communities such as schools, parks, neighborhoods, and so on. Now, trails, in this case, should be part of a regional or local comprehensive plan to be eligible for the money, and thankfully, most, if not all, of the trails in our region are. We put them under the NERC umbrella, first of all, with our ped and pedal plan, and now that's been called Greenways and Blueways 2020, but we have many local entities that have thankfully adopted trail into their visions for the future. And these are also projects that also help extend or connect to existing trails. It's very helpful for the funding, and also have an accelerated timeline that they will be installed within 1 to 4 years. Of course, it's always interesting with this aspect where projects come in for federal money, and just because they are put into the federal grinder, you're already talking about a 4 to 5 year minimum for projects to be developed anyway. Now we're talking state money, we can do this far more rapidly. So the round one summary, just to give you an overview of what happened previously. Much like this current round, there was $25 million available. Again, it was administered by the DNR, and that's a big distinction. NDOT does the administration of the federal money. In this case, DNR is taking care of this money. 17 projects were funded out of 84 applications received, so it's quite competitive. They distributed $24.9 million, and the local match came out to be $12.5 million, and you do your math, the average local match for these projects was 33%. So when I put an asterisk on 80-20, if you bring in a project at 80-20, most likely they're not going to look at it very favorably. They do encourage overmatch, and I have been asking entities in this region to consider at a minimum 25% local match when they do go in for the application, just to give them a fair shake at this funding. Now, more than 42 miles of trail were funded in 17 counties. The longest of these trails is 4.7 miles, and the shortest was just under a mile. There were 3 NERC area projects that were funded. One was the Pensy Greenway extension in Cherville, the Marquette Greenway in Burns Harbor, and the Veterans Memorial Trail in Hebron. Both of these, all 3 of these projects are actually on the State Visionary Trail Network, to give you a hint of how keen they are in approving trails for that. Now, here are the distribution of the projects throughout the state. I think this is, all right, we need the battery. So, what you have here are the orange dots. Those are the regionally significant projects, and then the blue dots are the locally significant projects. As you can see within our region, the 3 projects, all regionally significant. There's one just to the outside of it there. That was just outside the town of North Judson, for the extension of the Erie Trail, again, on a visionary corridor, one of the American Discovery Trail links in the state of Indiana. So, again, a prime funding opportunity for the state. Now, this is the Visionary Trails Network, and as you can see, I superimposed where the first round projects were awarded, and as you can tell, nearly all of those orange dots are on the Visionary Trails Network. You can tell the blue dots kind of are not. Again, the blue dots are the locally funded projects, and those are pretty much within destinations and communities where the orange dots, again, are connecting to larger systems and are part of the Visionary Network. And then within our own system as well, we had the Burns Harbor project up there on the Marquette Greenway. There was the project in Cherville on the Pensy, and then here's the last project in the town of Hebron. And that actually was the shortest regional project in the state, funded under a mile, but that completes the Veterans Trail within Porter County. So we were very pleased about that, over $5 million we received in this region. okay? And you can see the progress here, and that's Lake Michigan. They always forget to put the lake in, so I made sure, but but that's again what we wanna focus on going forward, and I think I got some repeat slides here, so bear with me. Okay, so funding info, again, the next round, it takes place starting on October first, and it goes to November first. There's $25 million available, and I talked about these already. Now, when we get to the right-of-way projects, the first round was released quite quickly after the governor put it on the table, and many people were coming to me saying, we don't have enough time to do land appraisals. Well, that's the idea. The first round was really for shovel-ready projects. The second round, and really all subsequent rounds, are going to involve projects that are gonna most likely need right-of-way acquisition. And the deal is, you need to get an appraisal for the property to obviously figure out the value of it for local match, and again, for your application purposes. But the easements must remain in public trail use for no less than 25 years. Obviously, it's fee simple, that's easy enough, but we also have many corridors in northwest Indiana that are on NIPSCO right-of-way. And we wanna make sure that we have a 25-year deal between NIPSCO and the local entity, to be eligible for this funding. So these get a little bit in the weeds, so of course you can always come to talk to me about further details working with NIPSCO. Again, overmatch is encouraged. I say 21% here, I really mean 25%, to have a fair shake at the money. Maximizing partnerships are always key, and with other next level trail applicants is helpful. And they must be projects in low mile counties, locally significant, are very helpful as well. The only real low trail mile county we have in this region would be LaPorte County, in this case. And then projects that access a population not currently within 5 miles of a trail are also looked at very finely for this next go around. So the application and information is here. The easiest way to do it is really just Google next level trails, and you'll be taken to the DNR site. And right there you also have the application as well. And we ask you to please work with us ahead of your submission to the DNR. The DNR works with us here, works with me directly on these projects. They ask us questions regarding the regional significance of many projects, and of course, we do attach support letters for the applications when they are submitted on time to the DNR. So please avail yourself, we'll avail ourselves of your application process, and of course, assisting you with any of your submissions. So, any questions? Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. This was just informational, of course, in this near future. Next, we have a discussion on the public participation plan update and the public comment period.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So the Engage NWI plan, the new public participation plan for NERC was put out to public comment on June 21st, 2019 through August 5th, a 45-day comment period. In that comment period, 7 comments were received. 4 comments were in clear support of the plan. You can find the report on page 12 of the packet. 2 comments contain ideas, and another question about a topic NERC does not have any involvement in and cannot authorize funding for. None of the comments were looked at to be significant, and therefore did not modify the plan in regard to the public comments. The 4 meetings were also held in Hammond, Gary, Valparaiso, and Michigan City. On page 13, you can find the 6 questions that framed those discussions. They were very helpful in helping us gather feedback in understanding how we may better implement and execute the Engage NWI plan.
Okay, now we'll entertain a discussion on resolution 1924 for the public participation plan update. We're requesting action at the, why don't you describe what we're.
Sure. So on page 18 is resolution 1924 that seeks the adoption of Engage NWI. We'll be asking you today to recommend to the commission that we do so. The plan starts on page 19 of the packet and goes through page 36. The plan was developed with input from USDOT, INDOT, the Outreach Committee, and a peer exchange of MPOs that we held on June 11th and 12th here in this office. Metro Plan Orlando and Will Mapco, the MPO for Wilmington, Delaware, came to share their insights and their experience with public participation planning to improve our draft plan. The plan contains strategies and methods that by which staff will reach out to the public on our activities. Most importantly, the plan guides staff on setting engagement goals for each of the tasks that we undertake each year, and lists the methods associated with each of those goals, and you can find this on page 30. And then, very importantly to this committee, as you've experienced in recent TIP development and amendments, etc., the amendments and modification procedures have been clarified to remove some of the vagary so that we have a little bit of a clear path forward when any of those trickier topics come up. Does anyone have any questions?
Any discussion at all? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Will, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
How frequently does the plan need to be reviewed for updates or modifications?
There is no requirement that we do it at any particular time. It's good to refresh it from time to time. It was a recommendation from our federal partners at FHW and FTA to revise and submit a new plan based on the corrective action we had received back in 2017.
Follow up. Have that's been involved in the engagement of putting out a process so that we are pretty sure that this satisfies their corrective action concerns?
Yes, up until the release of the plan, they were active partners in that peer engagement, as well as they participated throughout the process and attended one of the meetings. Otherwise, we've received no formal feedback from the feds.
Any other discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? So moved.
Thank you.
Now we go into programming. The Transportation Improvement Plan Amendment number 23 for fiscal year 2018-2021, and amendment number 1 for fiscal year 2020-2021. Charles Marski.
Good morning, everyone. What we are amending is, since we have not received approval from our federal highway partners, or federal transit partners, we have not received approval of our FY 20 to 24 TIP. So we are amending